Our first session is entitled Upgrade 2022, an introduction to the library's resources and services. So we actually have six colleagues. So from the user services and archives division from the University Library Diliman to highlight and share their resources and where faculty and students can get assistance in accessing online and physical resources. So without further ado, allow me to introduce our presenters for this morning. So our first presenter is a graduate of Library and Information Science from the UP School of Library and Information Studies. She is currently a full-time reference librarian at the Information Services and Instruction section of the University Library. Currently, she serves as chair of the Gender and Development Committee and as a member of the Library Awards and Recognition Committee and a host of Library as well. She's working on her graduate thesis for a degree in educational psychology at the UP College of Education. So we have Ms. Aiza Palaya. And as for our second presenter, a Polytechnic University of the Philippines Library and Information Science graduate, she spent the last 5 years working at the University Library. She has worked in the cataloging section and now the serials and Filipiniana book section while obtaining her master's degree at the UP School of Library and Information Studies. She is also a member of the University Library's Emergency Management Committee and a volunteer for the Diliman Librarians Empowerment Action. To represent the Filipiniana book section, we have Ms. Eliza May Hayag. And our third presenter for this first set is a licensed librarian and a graduate of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines with a degree in Library and Information Science. She has been an indexer at the University Library for over 12 years. She also worked as a college librarian in various sections of the library and is currently the acting head of the serial section. So for the serial section, we have Ms. Catherine S. Nazareth. So please welcome them.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, AB.
Morning, guys.
Thank you for the kind introduction. I'd like to thank everyone who is joining us through Facebook and also through this Zoom meeting. Thank you for being with us this morning. As mentioned by AB, we're expecting a lot of people to join us this morning, but of course, there's a limitation to what the number of people we can accommodate through Zoom. So if you have friends or colleagues who can't make it to the Zoom meeting, please share with them the Facebook link. And this is a first, I think, for us since we started doing webinars in 2020. This is the first time that we are highlighting not just the online resources of the library, but all our resources, whether it's the archives, the serials, the Filipiniana section, the reference section, everything that we can offer, because we obviously UP Diliman libraries get a lot of requests on a daily basis from different UP units asking for assistance in gathering resources for their faculty and their students. So it's just appropriate that we introduce to you what we have, and of course the people behind these sections that are extending service to not just to UPD students and faculty, but everyone across the UP system. So, medyo kinakabahan ako ngayon, hindi dahil maraming tao, but because 10 minuto lang yung meron ako. So, let's get started para naman hindi tayo sayangan sa oras. Ayan, I'm just currently sharing my presentation. Nakita po ba? Maybe can you confirm?
Yes, Aiza.
Ayun. Alright, so thank you. As mentioned by AB, this is Upgrade 2022. This is the opening session and is, of course, aptly entitled An Introduction to the University Library's Resources and Services. And since I am representing the Information Services and Instruction section, that's what I'm going to focus on in my presentation. But allow me to walk you through our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the various resources and services that we offer in the university library to give you an understanding or to allow you to understand the extent of our collection and services, and of course, to make you familiar with how you can get assistance or who to ask for help when accessing physical and online resources. So as I have mentioned, I am presenting on behalf of the Information Services and Instruction section, which is also the section behind this webinar, right? So this is my simple outline. I'm going to give you an overview of ISAIS, its collection, its services, and probably inadvertently I'll be mentioning a few facilities that we have in ISAIS. So just a quick timeline. The General Reference and the Media Services section was established in 1991 through the University Library Organic Act. So the main goal or the mandate of the section was to provide general information and reference services using print and non-print sources. So 4 years later, in 1995, the general reference section was established. And then in 2016, it was renamed from GenRef to ISAIS, which is the Information Services and Instruction section. This move was to, of course, address the changing needs and the changing information needs of users. So because the GenRef section is no longer just a repository of physical reference resources, it has evolved into an encompassing and a more well-rounded section offering other services anchored on information literacy and, of course, the use of online resources. So allow me to... But I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but this is our University Library organizational structure, and I'd like you to focus on the Information Services and Instruction section under User Services. So just so you will have an idea what we are made of or what we're composed of. So there we have one head librarian. Currently, we are headed by Ms. Rizaline Hanyo, and under the head librarian, we have the cataloging, the electronic resources, the information services, and user evaluation, and then the collection and equipment, inventory, and maintenance. So these are the main functions of the Information Services and Instruction section. So we're under the User Services. For a more specific for more specific functions, these are our main roles in the library. So we collect and develop the physical and the online resources collection of the library. So of course that starts with evaluating resources, getting your opinions about what resources to acquire, what more we need to add to our collection so we can address your needs. And of course, we also make sure that these resources are timely and relevant. And we let you know about these resources through our information literacy initiatives. As I've mentioned, this webinar is an example of that information literacy initiative. Then, of course, as always, at the end of every year, we inventory our collection. We check our resources to make sure that nothing is missing, that everything is up to date, and that everything is still accessible. So those are the specific functions of the Information Services and Instruction section. So I sized by the numbers. This I lifted from the 2020 annual reports of the Information Services and Instruction section. So this is how much we have. This is the extent of our collection in ISAIS as of 2020. We have 12,314 books, 5,855 ebook titles, over 11,000 multimedia materials. We've so far digitized 1,609 materials. I think, of course, more has been added since 2020. And then we have 33 library guides or library guides that we are slowly uh, creating or slowly drafting and placing or making available through the website. All right. So the University Library ISAI section has major, three main services, three types of services. The first one being the reference and information services. So under that, we have virtual reference services through email, chat, and social media. So if you're wondering who responds to your questions um, via email, that's us, the reference librarians from ISAIS. We also answer your questions through Facebook and other social media channels such as Twitter. We also offer current awareness service. We let you know regularly if we have new acquisitions, if we have new services, we have new programs and activities, again, through our social media channels. We also offer document delivery, which has been rebranded, and now we call it Resource on Demand. This has been one of our most sought after services since the pandemic. The goal of ROD is to bridge the information gap. So if you're unable to go to the library because you don't have your private transportation, or if you don't have access because you're in a far off province, for example, you can instead access resources through ROD. We also have, of course, on your screen right now, you can see the Tuklas logo. So that's our new web OPAC or online public access catalog. And we also have post library updates and new collections. Of course, part of our services, our reference and information services is the library orientation, which we call Research Made Easy. So we've been doing Research Made Easy for a decade now. I think 10, 11 years to be specific. So we've been offering this as an information literacy initiative to make you familiar with our services, to make sure you are aware that a certain online database exists, for example, and that whatever discipline you may be in, there is always something for you at the library. Okay? So for our multimedia services, we offer microphone reading and scanning and individual or class viewing. So, well, when the pandemic hit in 2020, we had to forego temporarily these services because, of course, there was no way we can let you go to the library amidst the pandemic, right? So what we did was we offered microphone conversion through ROD. So instead of coming to the library, the librarians would did the research for the students, look for the materials through our microfilm collection, converted them into PDF, and then just sent them through email. So, and then for individual and class viewing, this used to be held in the audiovisual room at the basement of the Gonzales Hall, but we also had to stop it temporarily. However, through Zoom, during at the height of the pandemic, we were able to still offer film viewing through Zoom, right? And that goes also for our library orientation. So we weren't able to do face-to-face library orientation. So we maximize the use of Zoom as our new library orientation plan, right? So we slowly, as the restrictions are being lifted, as we are slowly, gently moving back. I'm not sure if that's the right term to say, but while we're slowly moving back to and going back to normal, hopefully as better people, we are also slowly offering microphone reading, but still by appointment, and of course following strict health protocols, right? So for the user services, We have, of course, information and referral. So, of course, we cannot provide everything that you need. Of course, the ISAIS will do everything that it can, but there is no way we can provide every information that you need. So what we do is we refer you to the right unit, the right section, even the right resources online, just so you will know where to go next. So in before the pandemic hit, we had extended reading, extended check-in and check-out. So if you're from UP Diliman, I'm sure you're already familiar with this. We used to offer services until 12 midnight, Monday to Friday. But then, of course, the renovation of the Gonzales Hall happened. We had to also consider the safety of the users and the staff at the same time. But in the past, we would offer that. We had internet, we had Wi-Fi, printing and scanning, and photocopying. So these pictures that you see on your screens right now were some photos taken in 2019 before the before we moved out of the Gonzales Hall to give way to the renovation. So you can see there students discussing using the discussion room. So if you need a quiet place to go, that's where you can stay and discuss with your group mates or classmates. So that's our discussion room. But separate from the regular reading areas where people are well, they can still talk, but they have to turn down their voices a bit. Unlike in the discussion room where you can freely talk and discuss matters with your classmates. And then we also have, of course, in the last photo, we have the charging ports or charging stations where you can stay to charge your laptops or your phones while using of course, while connecting to the internet as well, right? So that's for our user services, right? So these are currently the activities that we regularly stage or regularly organize. Of course, again, since there is a pandemic, we cannot do university welcome assemblies. In the past, the last time we did this was in 2019. We would always have a booth wherever the UA venue was at that time. We would always be there, um, offering games, offering information about the library, introducing the library to incoming freshman students. And then now, because there's a pandemic, we would usually just ask for a slot so that we can provide even just a short video presentation to be shown during the freshman orientation program, so that we can still be part of the orientation for freshman students, even for a short period of time or for a very limited time. And then we used to have live e-fair. The last time we had it was in 2018, I think. And it's similar to what we're doing now on Zoom, where we are conducting webinars. But in the past, we used to do it in the lobby. We would invite different resource speakers and experts from different publishers to talk about their resources and how to maximize the use of these resources. And now we're here. we're doing it. We're still doing it, but this time we're doing it at the comforts of our own homes to make sure that we're all safe. Right. So the first installment of the webinar series was in 2020. A few months after the announcement of the lockdown, we launched three three webinar series. One for the staff of the UP libraries, another for the information of faculty, and then finally research made easy for students. Right. So we targeted all of these users because we knew back then that it was the right time to offer webinars, since most students were working on their papers and they needed assurance that they will still be able to access the resources that have in the library. while the pandemic is at its height at that time. All right. So, and of course, that was not the end of it. We continued offering webinars yearly and even every semester. We did offer usually at the beginning of the semester. So, obviously, the information services and instruction section continues to collect foreign and Filipiniana information and reference resources such as dictionaries, encyclopedias, atlases of general interest. So because that's our mandate, that's part of our mandate as the former general reference section of the library. So we still maintain our physical collection. Of course, I'm not sure if the UP, the other CUs are familiar, but GenRef is usually per room use, right? So we don't offer our materials for regular circulation, but we make sure that they are available when you need them. They are just at the library. So there's a limit to what we can provide in terms of the content, since we have copyright and fair use guidelines to adhere to. But we, of course, make sure that you get what you need from the collection. Okay? Most of what you need from the collection. Right? So, of course, a huge part of our services, our collection, as I have already mentioned earlier, is our online databases. So these are all the online resources that we have access to, and that's system-wide. So you don't have to worry if you're from a different CU. You definitely have access to these resources. And even these resources on your right, to your right, you have access to these handbooks, citation tools, these reference management tools are all available to you. Right? So if you have questions about how to access them, make sure to connect with your librarians, right? And they'll surely be able to assist you. Okay? Right. So for our new services, and this is my final slide, we have at the beginning of the semester we've made an announcement about the 3 new services that we are offering. So the first one is Ask CNAG. So this is our Ask a Librarian feature. So through Facebook, we reply to your questions, reply to your or clarifications about where to access resources, which office or which section to contact if you need to, for example, return books that you weren't able to return pre-pandemic, stuff like that. We get questions. We get a lot of questions similar to that. Then we have Salicronico, which I believe you've seen at the beginning of this webinar. We've been showing videos at the beginning of the session. So Salicronico allows you to search all our resources through one interface, using one interface. So it's in the website. When you go to the main live website, that's the first thing you will see, Salicronico. And then you can search to class, through our databases, journals, and of course the site, the main live website, right? And then finally we have Droid, which is our digital reference and online information desk. So this is the virtual or the digital version of our information desk, which used to be at the lobby, at the entrance of the main live or the Gonzales Hall. So you can book a 20-minute Droid session with us. There are, of course, certain dates certain days rather, when you can book a Droid session, and we will answer all your questions in 20 minutes, right? So the good thing about Droid is that you can get real-time answers. Real-time. So you're face-to-face with the librarian, you can clarify anything, you can even ask for a one-on-one on how to use or access online databases, and will assist you throughout the 20-minute session, right? So that's what we're offering at the moment. So again, if you are looking for resources on general interest, if you're looking for microfilms, we have that in ISAIS. If you're looking for films, we also have those. If you're looking for reference sources, whether online and physical, we have those. Your gateway to that is the class or our online public access catalog. You just have to locate the material. If it's indeed in the information services and instruction section, then we can arrange for you to have access to the resources. Of course, following copyright and fair use guide. All right. So that's it for me for the information services and instruction section. If you have questions, we can answer them later. And if you need to connect with us, just send us an email at libraryinfo.updiliman@up.edu.ph. That's all. Thank you very much. I think
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Isa. Thank you, Isa, for showcasing Isais. So next, I think we have Miss Eliza Mihayag for the Filipiniana book section. Take it away, Eliza.
Thank you, AB. Good morning to everyone. Again, I'm Eliza Mayhayag from Filipiniana Book Section, and I'm going to share to you all about our resources and services we offer in our section. Next, please. Miss Isa, next, please. Okay. So here's the outline of my presentation. First, I'm gonna give you the definitions of Filipiniana books, and then I'm gonna show you our different resources and services, and also how to access them. Next, please. Okay, so here are the definitions of Filipiniana books. First, Filipiniana books are printed books in the Philippines, books about the Philippines regardless of the author, kung siya ay sinulat man ng foreign author or local author, basta about the Philippines, considered siya as Filipiniana book. And then regardless also of language used, and regardless of publisher's imprint. And the third definition of Filipiniana books, books published by Filipinos in any subject. So, these three definitions are also used as the criteria in selecting a collection to be included in our section. So next, please. As of now, in our estimation, we have at least more than 160,000 volumes of printed books, and we have also 1,960 titles of ebooks. So, paano natin siya ma-access? Next, please. Una, katulad ng sabi ni Miss Aiza, punta lang tayo sa ating tuklas, our search, discover, and create, or ang ating web OPAC, kung saan tayo magsa-search ng needed nating material. Pwede siyang i-search by author, by title, by call number if given na, or by resource type. Then, once na ma-confirm ng user or ng client na ang material na nahanap niya ay under ng Filipiniana book section, pwede na niya kaming padalhan ng message ng listahan ng kanilang required or needed materials. Pwede din kaming padalhan ng message sa aming Facebook page. Either of the two, we're both active naman po doon. And then initially, once na makatanggap kami ng email or ng message sa aming Facebook page, padadalhan namin kayo ng acknowledgement message, and then hihingan po namin kayo ng e-copy ng inyong UPID and also your recent Form 5. Ito ay para sa pag-verify lang ng status nyo sa ating UP campus kung active ba kayo or enrolled ba ang ating students. So, sa Filipiniana book section din, merong 2 categories ng books. Next, please. Ang first one is the regular circulation books. Ito yung mga pwedeng maiuwi, pwedeng maborrow or ilabas ng library. And then, ang dami ng books na pwedeng hiramin na regular circulation books ng isang user or ng client ay depende kung anong kategory niya sa ating UP community. And also, kung gano'n din katagal niya pwedeng mahiram ang mga ito. So, sa table na to, sa book loan privileges, makikita natin ang dami at kung gano'n ba pwedeng katagal ito sa isang user. So, magkakaiba siya kung ikaw ba ay undergraduate, graduate students, faculty, admin staff, and reps. And then simula nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, March 2020, naging iba na rin yung rules or ng policy sa pagpapahiram ng regular circulation book sa Filipiniana book section. Dahil sa pagsunod natin sa ating health protocols, naisip or naging iba ang policy ay sa ngayon ang policy na sa paghihiram ng regular circulation books ay by appointment and also for pick up only. So kailangan ahead dapat ang pag-i-email sa amin or pagpapadala sa amin ng listahan ng materials na kailangan ng user. Then once na ma-confirm namin na available siya, active ang user sa ating UP community, then doon na natin gagawin ng schedule or i-schedule na natin ang inyong pagpunta para sa pag-pick up ng libro. And then another solution, dahil sa merong special cases na katulad ng malalayo ang bahay ng iba or kaya dahil mahirap ang public transportation or natatakot pa rin tayong lumabas dahil nga may COVID pa rin, isang solution na naisip ng library and ng Filipiniana Book Section ay ang i-allow ang pag-pick up ng libro via any courier services. Pwede kayong mag-book ng Grab, Lalamove, Angkas, and so on. Basta ang amin lang paalala ay once na lumabas ang materials sa ating library premises, ang responsibility na nito ay nasa user or nasa borrower. So next please. Para naman sa ating room use only books, ito naman yung mga hindi maaring mailabas sa library dahil pwedeng iisa lang ang copy na meron kami or meron siyang special cases kung brittle na ba siya or kailangan ng pag-iingat kaya nasa category siya ng room use only. Ito naman ay pwede nating ipasok sa resource on demand. Additional lang po, pwede rin naman ang regular circulation sa ating resource on demand service. Dito sa resource on demand service, pwedeng mamili ang ating user or client ng pages, article, or a chapter na gusto niya magkaroon ng e-copy. So initially, ang gagawin namin, once na ma-confirm nga ang inyong status, na active kayo sa ating UP community, and enrolled ba ang student kayong semester, para maka-avail nito ng libre, papadalahan namin kayo ng table of contents para sa inyong reference, para may idea kayo kung anong pages or chapter ba ang gusto nyo. And then, dahil sa copyright restrictions din, sinusunod natin ang 10% policy o ang pwede lang namin ma-scan or i-reproduce ay 10% of the total pages per book. So, yun. Next po. Then, e-books. Meron kaming 1,960 titles at na e-books sa Filipiniana Book Session na ito ay galing sa EBSCO, IG Library, and ProQuest. Next, please. So, let's go to the EBSCO e-books. So, kapag nasa tuklas kayo, malalaman nyo na ang nakita nyo material ay isang e-book kapag ang resource type niya ay electronic resource. And then, paano siya ma-access? So, mag-browse lang tayo pababa sa lower part sa tuklas, makikita natin ang direct link nito. So, i-click lang natin siya. Kung nasa loob tayo ng UP Campus, once na i-click natin siya, madadirect tayo sa mismong ebook. Pero kung nasa labas tayo ng campus, ma-access natin to basta gagamitin natin ang ating Open Athens. So, for more information about sa EBSCO ebooks, pwede nyo i-scan itong QR code na nasa screen and then madadirect kayo sa main library website kung saan merong additional details. And sa ngayon, ang Filipiniana Books ay merong at least 30 titles ng EBSCO ebooks. Next, please. Ebooks from IG Library. Okay. Ebooks from IG Library, meron tayo sa Filipiniana Book Section, at least 200 titles, more than 200 titles, na, same as ng EBSCO ebooks about siya sa different subjects. And then, ma-access din natin sila. Makikita din natin ang direct link sa lower part ng tuklas. So, kapag same as EBSCO ebooks, kapag nasa loob ng UP Campus, ma-access natin siya. Once i-click ang link, and then pag nasa labas, kailangan natin gumamit ng Open Athens. And then next, please, ebooks or thesis and dissertations. Next slides, please. From ProQuest, yes. Ito naman thesis and dissertations ay itong galing Filipiniana thesis and dissertations from ProQuest. Ang kaibahan naman ito sa EBSCO and IG Library sa Tuklas, makikita natin yung direct link. And then kung nasa loob man tayo or nasa labas ng campus, ma-access natin siya basta naka-open ang ating UP Mail, gamit ang ating UP Mail. Pero itong thesis and dissertations na to ay for viewing only, of course. And unlike sa EBSCO ebooks and IG library na pwede nating ma-download. Pwede tayo mamili ng pages or chapter na pwede nating ma-download. Next, please. And then another service na meron sa Filipiniana book section ay indexing. Yes, nag-i-index po kami. Pero ang ini-index lang po namin ay all about Philippine literature, mapa poems, novels, essays, short stories. Yun po, ini-index natin. Makikita natin yan sa Tuklas. So, meron kaming 24,316 analytics entries. And then next, please, on the... Yes, we have also another services, the current awareness services and readers advisory. So we regularly post or update our Facebook page about sa mga newly acquired books namin or newly added collections or services na meron kami, also about sa mga events hosted or about sa main library. And then ugnayan din kami sa Stratcom para sa pagpo-post na about sa section namin. And then last slide is about our contact details. Thank you. Yes, yan. Email lang po or Facebook message. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. If you have concerns or questions for the Filipiniana book section, those are the contact details, and you can still easily find them in our main library website. So for questions and concerns, we'll be able to answer them from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so again, thank you, Eliza, for showcasing this time the Filipiniana books section. So moving on to represent the serial section, we have Miss Catherine Nazareth. Morning, Ma'am Cathy.
Magandang umaga. Good morning sa lahat. Again, ako po si Catherine Nazareth and I will be discussing about the serial section. Next slide please. Here is the outline of my presentation. First, I will give you a brief information about the serials, then its collections, how to access these materials, and the local databases that you may use in accessing these collections. Sa brief information, ang serial section ay merging ng 3 sections. Ito ay ang foreign serials, Filipiniana serials, at ang bibliography and indexing section. It was integrated in July 2015 to unify the university library's serials collection. So for the collections, the serials consist of Filipiniana and foreign scholarly journals, magazines, and newspapers. As of now, the foreign serials now has around 1,400 titles. Yung iba nito ay nasa electronic journals na rin natin. Then yung Filipiniana serials naman natin ay meron tayong approximately 6,200 titles at 11 newspaper titles naman. 7 dito yung broadsheets and 4 yung tabloids. So for the services, next slide please. So meron tayong indexing and bibliography. So sa indexing, ang gumagamit ka or ini-index namin ay selective lang, hindi kami nag-i-index ng from cover to cover. Then dito, ang ini-index namin ay yung scholarly, foreign, and local periodicals, whether foreign or Filipino ang author, basta about Philippines at may permanent research value. So it covers 4 key subject areas in the field of humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and applied sciences. At lahat ng mga articles na to ay makikita sa ating mga local databases. So ang index to Philippine periodicals online naman, isa itong web-based article indexing system. So ito ay naglalaman ng mga index articles na mula sa mga scholarly journals at magazines na na-publish dito sa Philippines. Sa kasalukuyan, ang IPP Online ay naglalaman ng mahigit 500 titles ng magazines at journals na na-index na simula noong ma-launch ito noong 2011. Maaari din ma-access ang mga articles na ito, yung mga na-contribute ng ating mga college libraries, maging ang campus unit libraries natin, kagaya ng UP Los Baños, UP Mindanao at UP Tacloban. So, lagi nating i-check yung ating yung location ng mga articles kapag gagamit tayo ng IPP Online. Then sa Index to Philippine Newspapers Online naman, kung kanina ang diniscuss ko sa IPP ay more on magazines and journals, ngayon naman ang laman ng IPN Online ay about mga index articles ng newspapers. Sa ngayon, meron tayong 31 newspaper titles na na-index. So ito ay again, yung contribution ulit ng iba't ibang mga unit libraries dito sa Diliman. So kagaya ng University Archives na nag-contribute din sila at nakapasok dito yung example niyan ay yung Philippine Collegian. So merong entries dito ang University Archives. Meron tayong mahigit 230,000 records simula nung ma-launch ito noong 2016. Next slide, please. So, yan yung example nung mga titles ng mga magazines at journals na nakapaloob sa IPP Online. Then, next slide, please. So, paano ma-access ang mga collections ng serials? Ma-access natin ito sa pamamagitan ng mga sumusunod na local databases. Una na dito ay ang Tuklas Discovery Service na kung saan matatagpuan natin ito sa main website ng University Library. So tandaan lang po natin ang URL ay ds.mainlib.upd.edu.ph. So paano natin ma-search or malilimit yung kung gusto natin na makita lang ay yung serials collection? I-type lamang sa search box ang title ng article, kung alam niyo po yung title at yung lahat ng information nito. Or pwede rin natin gamitin ang advanced search at i-click ang continuing resources at ang main library serial section para sa location. Then sa next slide please. Para sa Index to Philippine Periodicals Online naman, ito ay maaaring ma-access under ng local databases sa UP Diliman website ulit natin. At ang URL naman niya ay ipp.mainlive.upd.edu.ph. So sa ngayon meron tayong 500 local periodical titles na ni-index. Next ay yung IPN. So ito naman po ay makikita pa rin natin or ma-access sa ating website. At ang kanyang URL ay ipn.mainlive.upd.edu.ph. So sa pag-access nitong dalawang local database na aking nabanggit, maaari nyo pong gamitin ang simple Boolean searching para malimit ang pag-search natin sa author, title at subject nito or maging ang abstract. Then, maaari din natin magamit ang virtual cart nito para ma-bookmark ang mga napiling articles. At kapag nakapili na tayo ng mga articles, meron din tayong option nito na i-print or i-send sa ating email ang mga bibliographic entries ng mga articles na nahanap at nailagay natin sa ating virtual cart. At ang isa pang resources or ang isa pang local databases na maaari kung saan natin makikita yung iba pang collection ng serials ay next page please. Ito ay ang UP Diliman Journals Online. So isa itong online repository kung saan ma-access ang lahat ng journals na na-publish ng UP Diliman. Ang proyektong ito ay pinamahalaan ng Research Dissemination and Utilization Office ng OVCRD at ito ay makikita pa rin sa ating website. At ang URL naman nito ay journals.upd.edu.ph. I-access lamang ang ating website at sa ilalim ng local databases ay piliin ang UP Diliman Journals Online o kaya naman ay i-type yung itong URL na to at pumili ng journals na gusto nyo. Maaring ma-download at basahin ng online articles na mga ito. Then, ang isa pang service ng serials, ito ay ang current awareness service. So, ang serials ay regular na nagpo-post ng featured e-journals bawat linggo sa serials Facebook page na UPD Serials section. At para na rin ma-promote ang mga collections na meron kami at pati na rin yung mga bago. Then, pagkatapos natin mag-research at makapamili ng mga references mula sa mga local databases, ay maaari nyo nang maipadala sa amin ang inyong list ng mga napiling articles. So, papasok naman tayo sa resource on demand. Since ang collections po ng serials ay hindi po pwedeng ipahiram, ito po ay room use only lang. Ang ipaprocess naman po natin ang mga requested articles ninyo sa pamagitan ng pag-scan at pag-send nito via email ng mga electronic copies. So naka-post dito sa screen ang matrix ng ROD services at meron po tayong limit sa pag-request. So hanggang 5 articles per day at per tao po yung i-accept namin at ipaprocess kapag nag-i-scan po kami ng material. Then kung kayo po ay may katanungan o request, ay maaari po kayong mag-email o tumawag sa amin at ang contact details ay nakapost din sa screen. Maraming pong salamat.
Right, so thank you, Ma'am Cathy, so for highlighting the serious section. So again, you can now call us. Okay, so the phone lines are perfectly and functionally working in our temporary location at the Environmental Engineering Building. So you can call us there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so that's for our first set of librarians. Now we have another set, so we have 3 more colleagues who would represent their sections and again highlight their resources as well as their collection. All right. For our fourth presenter, allow me to introduce them. For our fourth presenter, she is a Far Eastern University graduate with a bachelor's degree in education and a minor in library science. She has spent more than 4 decades in the university library, and throughout her 40-year career, she has held a variety of positions, and as of the moment, she is currently in charge of the Special Collection section, wherein she answers research questions about the section's valuable materials. So for the Special Collection, we have Ms. Amalia Javier, and moving on for our fifth presenter, she graduated with a Bachelor of Library and Information Science in 2002 at the UP School of Library and Information Studies. She earned her Master of Library and Information Science in 2019 in the same university. She started as a College Librarian 1 at the University Library in 2004, wherein she previously served as Head of Acquisitions, Serials, and Media Services section. She is currently the head of the University Record section of the University Archives Division. So please welcome Ms. Cheryl T. Herodias. And last but not the least, our sixth presenter is a graduate of Bachelor of Library and Information Science from La Consolacion College and also a graduate of Masters of Library and Information Science from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. She is currently pursuing a doctoral degree in Education Management at the same university. She has 12 years of experience in librarianship, and she has also worked as a grade school librarian at the Montessori de Manila and the Technological Institute of the Philippines as a reference librarian, cataloger, and assistant chief librarian. So please welcome Ms. Jeneline Ilen Dayo Bagares. All right, so I think for this session, Ma'am Ami would lead the discussion first for the special collections. So good morning, Mama Ami.
Good morning, AB. Good morning, Ma'am LB. Good morning, Y, students, faculty, staff, librarian, at sa mga nanonood sa Facebook. Next, please, Raisa. I will discussing about the special collection. The special collection section are library materials separated from the general collections because they are a certain form on a certain topic, subject of a particular period or geographical area rare, fragile, or valuable. Most of our collections are microfilm. The collection consists of rare books and other types of Filipiniana materials, may be rare, unique, out of print, unpublished, and non-textual. They supplement or other information on various subjects not readily available in the book and serial section. The collections, spatial collections are the following. Next, please, Aisa. Number one is the artworks. Original 2 or 3-dimensional work art. Example, the paintings, drawings, sculptures, museum pieces, etc. Majority of the artworks are donated by the private collector and artists. They are more or less for national artists. One is the Guillermo Tolentino, Jose Hoya, Napoleon Abueva, and Hernando Ocampo. Next collection is the rare books. Consists of books published from 16th to early 20th centuries, the procurement or acquisition of which may no longer be possible or ascertainable because they are out of print or are the only existing copies available. Most of are available in microfilm. Next collection, please. The rare serials consists of periodicals from 19th to 20th century across all topics and interests. Many of these discontinue. Most of are available in microfilm. Next, please. Next, maps and atlases. Consists of maps of regions, provinces, and towns. They are political, geographic, topographical, and base maps. Next collections. Local history. Collections of information on Philippine provinces, cities, towns, and various in the form of brochures, souvenirs, programs, statistics, reports, clippings. The collections is arranged by cities, provinces, and regions. Next, personal papers. On historical documents and published original literary works written in major Philippine languages. Next, vernacular collection or languages has a rich array of published materials and manuscripts written in major languages like Bicol, Cebuano, Hiligaynon, Ilocano, Pampango, and Tagalog. The holograph typescripts or photocopies of original manuscripts published materials are part of the general classified book collections. Next collections is the human rights papers. These collections consist of books, pamphlets, brochures, clippings, and other materials in microforms. Access to these materials required a letter of request addressed to the Association of Ex-Detainees Against Detention and for amnesty. Next, radical collections. Next, Aisa. The radical collections is a collection of documents, brochures, periodicals, unpublished materials, manifestos, newsletters, and clippings mainly of students, political and religious organizations advocating for political, economic, and social changes during martial law in the Philippines, 1972 to 1981, and materials on communism in the Philippines. The bulk of the collection dates back from the late 60s to early 70s. Next collection. Filipiniana Papers, a compilation of materials pertaining to Dr. Jose Rizal, including his works. Materials are culled from various publications, books, periodicals, ephemera. Some are photocopies of materials unavailable locally. Date range of these materials are from the late 1890s to 2000. Next, Isa. Japanese occupation papers. The collection consists of books, journals, papers, magazine, monographs, propaganda materials, microfilms, etc. during the Japanese occupations of the Philippines from the 1940 until the liberation in 1946. Next, Isa. Speech file. Collections of speeches delivered by some Philippine presidents, politicians, and other prominent Filipinos on various occasions and events. The materials are arranged alphabetically by the speaker's name. Next. Next, Isa. The resources of the spatial collections may be seen in the class, or you may email on the spatial call, that's main live upd liman at up.edu.ph, or on the facebook.com spatial collections UPD library. So, ganun pa rin, ROD at Rumius din ang aming library services na pwede nyo rin ma-access by the appointment. Request appointment through the library document delivery services. Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Ma'am Ami. I hope that's clear. So given that the special collections have a wide array of resources and their collection, I think it would be prompt to send them an email beforehand, most especially now that we can't use these resources physically. They would be sent to you by ROD. But expect a little bit of delay, no? Because they need to find the material and they need to scan that particular material. Right? So hopefully you'd be able to understand that and exercise a little bit of patience. So moving on, we have Miss Cheryl T. Herodias from the University Archives Division. Good morning, Ma'am She.
Salamat, parang AB. Salamat po sa ISAIS, lalong-lalo na po kay Ms. Rizalin Hanyo. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng tagapakinig ngayong araw na ito, lalong-lalo na po sa University Archive staff. Hi po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa ating University Archives Division. Next slide, please. This is the outline of my presentation. Brief background, functions, scope of collections, services, how to access, and contact information. Next slide, please. Executive Order number 13, issued by President Salvador P. Lopez, designates the University Library as the University Archives and Records Depository, with the University Librarian as the ex-officio University Archivist. Makikita po ang executive order na to sa UP Gazette, Volume 5, Number 6, ng June 30, 1974, page 95. In March 2016, Executive Order Number PAEP 1602, issued by President Alfredo E. Pascual, reorganizing the offices under the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, which the University Archives operates. So the University Archives was elevated into a division and simply named as the University Archives Division. So from UARD, naging UAD na lang po siya. Next slide, please. So this is the organizational chart of University Archives. It has 4 sections, namely University Archives, Filipinana, Personal Papers, Preservation or Binding section. Next slide, please. The 2 major functions of the University Archives is to collect and maintain archival materials that will assist researchers in tracing the development of the university and reflect the professional careers and achievement of university administrators, faculty, and alumni. So kasama po dito yung mga history ng ating mga colleges, units, courses, at iba pa po. Second function is to provide service relating to the establishment and maintenance of an efficient and effective records management program. So taon-taon po lahat po ng mga college or unit libraries, including UP Diliman main library sections, nagkakaroon po tayo ng inventory para po malaman natin kung okay pa po ba ang condition ng ating mga collections. Next slide, please. The collection of the University Archives consists of Filipinana, university records, and personal papers. So Filipinana are all materials published by the University of the Philippines and its affiliate units. So kasama po dito yung mga thesis and dissertations, Filipinensian, mga student publications, like yung Philippine Collegian, UP Newsletter, UP Forum. Next slide, please. University records are permanent and archival transactional records of UP administrative and academic offices. So para malaman po natin kung permanent o temporary po yung mga records natin, maaari po nating pagbasihan yung National Archives of the Philippines General Circulars 1 and 2. Makikita po natin doon yung retention schedule ng ating mga records. So here is an example of digitized copy of a memoranda. It is issued by Vice Chancellor for Administration dated December 3, 1993. So ito pong pinapakitang mga nasa corrugated boxes are permanent records na po yan. So natanggal na po namin dyan yung mga temporary records. Next slide, please. Personal papers are records reflecting the contribution and professional careers of the university, administrators, or executives, faculty, alumni, and student, and officer of the student council. So this paper often consists of yung mga biographical features, speeches, correspondences, and writings. So yung mga university records at personal papers ko ay nakalagay yan sa mga archival storage boxes namin, tulad ng corrugated boxes, oversized boxes. Lahat po ng collections sa University Archives are for room use only. So kung magre-request po kayo sa amin, please give us time to check our collection kasi karamihan po ng aming collection ay nasa off-site storage. Next slide, please. The services of the University Archives are divided into user services and technical services. So user services are reference, circulation, or lending function services. While the University Archives is closed, we offer resource on demand. So this is the link po, tinyurl.com/updarchives request. For now, our services are open to UP community only, gaya po ng nasabi ni Miss Eliza, for faculty members, staff, and currently enrolled students. So, nabanggit niya na po na required po ang Form 5 or proof na enrolled po sila. Technical services are archival functions, collection development, planning, storage, and maintenance, preservation through archival and digitization programs. So kami pong university archive staff, gumagawa po kami ng mga finding aids or guides sa aming mga collections ng yung university records and personal papers. So under po ng personal papers, kasama po rin yung presidential papers. Next slide, please. You can access university archives through Tuklas and digital archives. Gaya po nung mga nag-present kanina, halos lahat po ay gumagamit ng Tuklas. Pero para po mas direct po kayo sa university archives, mag-advanced search po tayo. I-select po natin agad yung university archives as location po ng material. So to access full text in digital archives, use your UP webmail credentials. So dito po, makikita po natin dito yung mga university records, personal papers, thesis and dissertations, yan, presidential papers. Makikita po natin siya. Ang karamihan pong naka-upload sa digital archives ay lahat ng thesis, whether kung ano man ang classification nito, kung invention siya or with for publication, kung confidential, or F for public use. Pero yung for public use lang po ang makikita niyo po ang full text. Yung tatlo lang po, classification and thesis, naka-hide lang po siya as preservation copy lang po namin. Next slide, please. The division head, our division head is Miss Amy Reyes Hilagrama. If you have queries, you may email us at archives-mainlive.updiliman@up.edu.ph, or you may visit us at our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/updarchives/. Once we open our service physically, you can visit our temporary office at Chemical Engineering Laboratory Building along Magsaysay Street, UP Diliman. Or you can call us at 8981-8500 local 2868. Next slide, please. Before I end my presentation, let's have trivia. Where is the original oblation currently located? Pwede nyo po i-chat sa chat box, pero wala po itong price. Or si Asais, baka gusto po magpa-price.
So for fun lang siya. Okay.
For fun lang po.
Alright. So who would like to guess where is the original oblation currently located? Okay, so ayun na. Medyo marami
Okay po,
tayong
nakita
answers.
ko na po yung right answer.
Alright.
The original oblation is currently located at the third floor of the Gonzales Hall or yung main library. Sa ngayon po, under renovation po ang ating Gonzales Hall, kaya hindi po natin ito mabibisita. So sa likod po ni oblation, yung entrance po ng University Archives. Salamat po.
Alright, so I think for the most part they know naman where the original oblation is located. So that's good, I suppose. Alright, so once again, thank you, Ma'am Chef, for showcasing the University Archives Division. And just like what she mentioned earlier, access now is fairly simple. So you have to class, and also you have our digital archive. So you can search for the thesis and dissertations there, and of course the personal papers as part of that huge and growing collection. Okay, and again, if you want to clarify and verify other information on what you know regarding a certain subject matter that's about the archives, you can easily send them an email or message them directly in Facebook. Okay, so moving on. So with our sixth and last presenter, we have Miss Jen Bagares from the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy Library. So good morning, Jen.
Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Ako po si Janeline Lindayo Bagares, representing the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy or CSSP Library. So the overview of my presentation will be about the library, the collections, the subscriptions, the contact details, and the well-known CSSP Library Sanggunian. So next please. So primarily, the CSSP library supports the teaching, learning, and research needs of the CSSP community. So as of now, our collections is nasa 90,000 plus print collection na. And to be exact, we have 98 perpetual ebooks, 234 subscribed e-textbooks, and 6 online database. And magiging 7 na siya since we have the on trial database na on process na din po yung procurement. Next, eyes. So same with the other units, we have the virtual reference services. Ito po yung pagsagot ng mga queries via email, chat, and via Facebook, and sometimes meron din via text or Viber or via phone call. And of course, the ROD or the resource on demand, the document delivery, and the scanning services. And we also have the user services, the information and referral, the check-in, check-out, the drop box or yung kiosk. Yun po. Next po. So, upon going with the CSSP website, makikita po natin yung vision and mission ng CSSP library. So primarily, it serves the needs of the 8 departments of CSSP. We have the anthropology, geography, history, linguistics, philosophy, political science, psychology, and sociology. Next po. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. If you want to access our procured 98 perpetual ebooks, kindly go to the main live upd.edu.ph and makikita mo yung CSSP perpetual ebooks, or pwede din na doon sa search box, type mo lang yung CSSP and then makikita mo na or hanapin mo lang yung CSSP perpetual ebook. So, ito yung collection natin. So, once you click this one, for example, madadirect ka na doon sa ebook na to. Next po. And we have the e-textbooks. So, in total, 234 yung meron tayo nito. So, same lang din. You can access din ito via your UP mail address and then via Open Access, and syempre, pwede pa din po doon sa mainlive.upt.edu.ph. So, next. Next po. And as mentioned a while ago, we have 6 online database. So, the first one is the online subscription sa PPSJ Journal or Philippine Political Science Journal. So, this is an international referred journal and the official publication of the Philippine Political Science Association or PPSA. So kung gusto nyo din siyang i-search, same lang din using your UP mail address via Open Access and doon din sa main library website. Next po. So the other 3 are the magazines. So we have Foreign Affairs, The Economist, and the diplomats. So same access via Open Athens, main live, website, using your UP mail address. And with this, itong Foreign Affairs is an American magazine of international relations and U.S. foreign policy published by the Council on Foreign Relations. And The Economist is the international weekly newspaper, printed in magazine format and published also online. It focused on current affairs, international business, politics, and technology. And the last is The Diplomat, an international online news magazine covering politics, society, and culture in the Indo-Pacific region. So if you want to access the full text, for example, yung Foreign Affairs, you need to go to its website. Sa Foreign Affairs, kailangan mo lang pumunta doon sa www.foreignaffairs.com, and then for The Economist, www.economist.com, and for The Diplomat, thediplomat.com. So, if ever na meron kayong gustong i-access the full text, you need to send the link or your request to csspive.upd@up.edu.ph. Next po. And the last is the psych articles. So psych articles includes all APA published journals plus those from the Canadian Psychological Association and the English language journals from Geography Publishing Group in all subjects areas relevant to psychological science. So same lang din po dun sa magazines, as I have mentioned, yung The Foreign Affairs, The Diplomat, and The Economist. If you want to access the full text, you need to send your request to the CSSP email din po. Next po. We have pa po pala the Washington Post. So this is an American daily newspaper which is published in Washington, D.C. And same lang din with the other procured online subscriptions ng CSSP. If you want to access the full text of the articles, send your request to csspive.upd@up.edu.ph. Next. So we have a upcoming subscription, the annual reviews of Social Sciences collection. So this includes 13 journals which covers about anthropology, clinical psychology, criminology, developmental psychology, and so on. So even though on process pa lang siya, the service provided already nag-provide na siya ng on-trial access on this. So kahit na on process, you can locate this in the main library website and via Open Athens if you want to use this database na po. Next po. So speaking of CSSP Library Sanggunian, I think thank you to Dr. Clement. Siya yata yung nag-brought up nito ng term na Sanggunian. So lahat ng mga ROD or mga requests nandito na po nakapaloob sa Library Sanggunian. And I want to take this opportunity na ginawan ko na rin po ng way or device para integrate po lahat ng CSSP subscriptions or procured collections po natin like the e-books and the textbooks. Next po. So I am working on this, or the CSSP team is working on this po. You can simply go to tinyurl.com, CSSP Sanggunian. So mapupunta po kayo sa CSSP Library Sanggunian. Next po. Next. Next. So this is where you will be able to see lahat po ng links na nandito na, which is very direct na po dun about CSSP. So this one po, yung free ebooks, this was tasked to me last year. So lahat po ng mga free na e-books na harvest na po siya. For example, meron kayong gustong alamin about basic definition ng psychology, so meron po dito yon. And then, itong CSSP, perpetual e-books, doon madadirect kayo doon sa link kanina nung pinakita ko, same with the subscribe e-textbooks and with this online databases. Bali, 7 na po ito. And then, ito yung last, ito yung CSSP curated e-books collection. Ito yung mga book request ng faculty and students na meron naman palang available free copy or access. So there's no need for us to buy for this ebook since available naman po siya. Next po. So ito yung sa ebook. So once you click it, nandun na lahat ng mga ebook titles. Next. So doon, ito yung sinabi ko kanina sa perpetual ebooks, dito ka lang din madadirect sa link na to, and same with the e-textbooks. Next po. Next. So ito yung sa online database. So subdivided into 4. So when you click this, directed to the link din po doon sa main library website. Next po. So the last is the CSSP curated ebooks collection po. Yun po yung last slide. Ayun, yan po. Last na po. Last slide po pala. So this is the contact details. So ayun po. Maraming salamat po.
Right, so thank you, Jen. So apart from the print collection and print resources of the CSSP library, they actually have a plethora of other online resources. So whether it may be through their ebooks, as well as other continuing resources, as long as it falls under their domain, it would be available. So like what Jen has mentioned, you can send them an email or a message if you wish to have, I think, a full text copy of a certain material. Okay. So that being said, thank you to our librarians, to our colleagues, for highlighting their resources. But we have a handful of questions for them. So I guess it would be right to proceed now with our question and answer portion. So let me just share my screen. So once again, we're in Slido. Right, so let's wait for it for a moment. All right. So can you see my screen so far? So if you can see my screen, can you give me a thumbs up, everyone? If at all possible. All right, so that's good. That's great. So for our librarians who made their presentations earlier, I think anyone could answer, and depending on the topic. All right. So our first question is how to search for master's and PhD thesis and download. So that's from James from the DevCom. So I think anybody can answer.
Hello po.
All right, so we have Ma'am Chef from the University Archives.
Okay. Gaya na nabanggit ko sa presentation po kanina, gamitin lang po natin yung UP Webmail credentials to fully access po yung ating mga MA, Master's, thesis and dissertations po. Yun po, to download po, yun po, kailangan nga po natin log in gamit ang ating UP Webmail.
All right, so again, so you can simply use your UP Mail in logging in digital archives, and from there download the full text or the full body of that particular thesis.
Okay. Dagdag ko lang po, yung pwede lang po nating ma-download po yung may mga classification na F or yung for public use. So gaya po nabanggit ko kanina, yung mga classified as I, P or C, I invention, P for publication or for publish, and C for confidential, hindi po natin ito madadownload or ma-access.
All right. So thanks for that clarification. So I hope that answers that. So I'll just tick that box, that question. So moving on. Hi, I've seen Turnitin being part of the partner applications. Just wondering if there will be any class code enrollment key available.
I think Mitch already answered that question.
Yeah. So based on her reply, Turnitin is already available in OVLE, and you don't need to have a class enrollment key. If I'm correct, you just need to simply search that particular class in OVLE and turn it in. All right. So hopefully that sheds some light on that. But if there are other technical issues, hopefully we would be able to address them. Okay. All right. So moving on. Do we have online repository for undergraduate and graduate thesis? So how can we access them?
Okay po, ang ating official institutional repository po, yung digital archives at UP Diliman. Yun po yun. Same lang po yun sa kaninang question on how to access.
All right. So that's a platform itself that you need to access, no? So I guess the next question is fairly similar: how to access MA or PhD thesis. Or I'm sure they wish to share other information how they could access thesis. You're on mute,
on
ano
mute
pa,
po.
Mancha?
And yun
ayos.
nga po, to access full yung text, yun nga po, use your webmail credentials.
All right.
Maybe I just, may add lang
Go
ako.
ahead.
Opo. Tungkol dun sa mga thesis, ganyan, you can also connect with the unit libraries. Kasi dun sa digital archives, you also have to understand na hindi naman lahat nandun na. So baka kasi ine-expect nila po na nandun na lahat yung yung mga lahat ng thesis and dissertations na from UP. Hindi po siya nag-work na ganun kasi hindi naman required na ilagay nila doon. So, well, it's encouraged, no? It's encouraged. So, kung gusto niyo po ma-access yung mga thesis and dissertations, pwede po kayong mag-connect doon sa unit library or yung college library kung saan kung nasan yung thesis na yun. Yun lang.
All right. So our next question: is it okay to borrow materials even if we're not enrolled in UPD?
Meaning enroll po ba sila enroll sa ibang CU? Opo. Pwede naman. Diba, inaalaw naman natin yung mga ibang taga-ibang CU na manghiram ng libro. I think they have to have an iLive account with us.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, kasi kailangan meron silang record para ma-record yung kanilang hihiram.
Yeah, and for other verification purposes, it would be very useful if you are indeed enrolled in this particular semester. Okay, so that's another point here that we need to, I guess, inform our users now. So whenever you send an email, we highly encourage you to already attach your verified Form 5. So in sending your request, so that we can easily verify your account. Okay. So moving on. How can the library help us access journal articles that are not part of the subscription list of UP?
Hello po. Morning.
All right. So Ma'am Cathy from the serial section.
Opo. Sagutin ko po. So, paano tayo maka-access ng journals na hindi part ng subscription natin? So, kung na-check talaga natin na wala ito sa printed materials at sa electronic journals natin, maaari nating hingin yung tulong ng ating consortium libraries. So doon mag-ask muna tayo or i-check muna natin sa kanilang databases or sa email nila mismo kung available ba itong certain Then kung available sa kanila, magbe-base tayo dun, syempre, susunod tayo sa kanilang guidelines sa kung paano ba natin makukuha yung article sa kanila. So, dun papasok yung document delivery service. Nasagot ko po ba ang tanong?
Yeah, I suppose so. So thank you for that, Ma'am Kathy. All right, so moving on. Is it possible to access data from Statista remotely, and how do we access it? Okay, so later on, actually, we have a session regarding Statista, and it's it's supposed to work remotely, so you can access it from the confines of your home. So later on, we'll know how to access it, no, as well as the entire product itself, as well as its functions and features. So, Isa, do you want to share anything about Statista or?
Yun lang, that it's accessible through Open Athens. If that's what they need to know. It's accessible through Open Athens, and that's our remote access platform for Statista. But if you want to know about the content or different data sets or different profiles that we have access to through Statista, then there's a separate webinar for that you can attend later.
All right. So how to use Open Athens? So I think this question is fairly easy for the librarians here.
Again, we have a separate webinar for that. So I think it's best to attend that session so that you can see kung paano gamitin yung Open Athens. It's very easy to use. Kung meron ka na sa email, UP mail mo, then you just need to go to the Google Core Apps and look for Open Athens. Just have to log in using your UP mail, and then it will redirect you to the Open Athens site, the interface, like the homepage. Then it will show you all the online resources that we have access to at present. But for a more detailed walkthrough, perhaps I would encourage you to attend the webinar.
All right. So as long as you have your UP mail, it would be easy. But again, let's revisit that for the next sessions. Okay. So next question. So hi, I'm a faculty from UP Visayas. I'd like to know how I can access EBSCO resources as it needs an account. So maybe the EBSCO database itself.
Baka po meron ditong librarians from UPV may be able to assist your faculty. Ayan po, nag-release ng hand si Sir Jason. Sir Jason? Naka-mute po kayo, sir. Sasabihin po ba kayo?
I don't think can he unmute?
Hello.
Ayun, okay. Isa pa po, sir.
Hello.
All right. Clear na po, clear na.
Okay, so thank you. Regarding po sa EBSCO resources, so lahat po ng resources ng UP Visayas is accessible via Open Athens po. So login lang tayo via Open Athens gamit yung UP email natin.
Ayun. So I guess that's clear. So you just need to have your UP mail account, no, in accessing EBSCO for UP Visayas. Okay. All right. So moving on. So I guess this question is about how can we access the library and how can you register?
Kung ang ibig niyo pong sabihin yung online resources natin, again, if you have your point of access is your UP mail. So if you have your UP mail, you should be able to access our online resources through Open Athens, and that applies to all CUs. So because Open Athens is our main remote access platform across the UP system. So if you want to know how to access your resources, your online resources, please contact your library. Your librarian should be able to assist you with matters concerning access to online resources.
Right. So next, how can I get a thesis book from the library? So I guess this is a recurring question, no? So hopefully, Ma'am Shea is still here with us to clarify this once again, so if need be.
Iba po ang book sa thesis. Kasi ang thesis ay publication po ng students. So, baka ibig niyang sabihin how to access. Kasi kung access, yun nga, pwede mag-request through resource on demand. Pero yung how can I get, or baka ibig niyang sabihin kung pwedeng
Physical
humiram.
borrowing.
Humiram, oo.
Maybe that, no?
Nabanggit ko kanina sa presentation ko na lahat ng collection ng university archives ay for room use only. So doon lang sa archives premises pwedeng basahin yung mga thesis.
All right, so thesis and dissertations cannot be brought outside of the premises, no, or the physical facility. Okay, so I think this one is a clarification for book or loan privileges. Does it apply to all or sa Filipiniana section? No? 10 books for graduates and reps before 5 lang ata.
Sige, sa Filipiniana book section, yes, pwedeng manghiram. Sa ibang section or sa college libraries, yes, alam ko pa nagpapahiram na. Para sa 10 books for graduates and reps, ever since po na pumasok ako sa library, 10 books na po para sa graduates and reps, and 5 lang para sa admin and undergrad. So yun pa. Thank you.
All right, so thank you for that, Eliza. So moving on. So hello, can we adapt some of your services?
Ayan, I
So,
think ito po ay
yeah.
sinagot na ni Ma'am Rai. Of course, you're free to ano ba, replicate siguro. Hindi not naman yung exact, pati yung name and everything. But the idea, the concept, of course, you're free to adapt.
Maybe
as
the
long as it
function
fits
itself, yeah.
Yes, as long as it fits your needs.
Yeah, feel free to do so. Okay, so moving on. So this one is about Droid. So what if lumagpas po ng 20 minutes yung nag-book sa Droid? And one-on-one po ba ito or pwede by group?
Grabe, daming tanong yan. So, kung hindi kaya ng 20, kasi yun talaga yung standard natin, 20 minutes lang, and individual talaga siya. But, I think, kung kailangan mag-extend ng konti, as long as wala namang kasunod na schedule yung tao, then okay lang na mag-extend ng konti para sagutin yung tanong. So, doon sa pangalawa namang tanong niya, kung pwedeng by group, hindi pa natin to na pag-usapan. Design kasi siya for individual consultation talaga. But if you have questions about the library and its services and you think na mahigit sa isang oras or alam mo yun, marami kang gustong malaman sa library, baka might as well attend the library orientation or the RME. Or through your faculty. Pero kung kailangan ng group talaga, sige, pwede naman nating subukan. Kasi nasa preliminary pa lang naman yung implementation ng Droid. Actually, we're also looking for a way to offer it na effective sa inyo. So if you think group consultations are also necessary din, pwede naman yan i-consider ng library. And kung effective yung mas mahaba sa 20 minutes, titignan natin kung paano natin i-work out. Pero but feel free to send in your comments, your suggestions, because that will help shape the Droid service in the coming months.
Right. So it depends on the entire reception of Droid, and we will make adjustments, depending on how it would turn out. Okay.
Yeah.
So ano po ulit ang materials na ini-index sa FI books?
Ini-index po namin yung mga books ng Filipiniana book section, and then ang kinukuha lang namin or ini-index namin yung about lang sa Philippine literature. Pwede siyang novels, essays, or poems, and any format, basta about siya sa Philippine literature.
All right. So thank you for that, Eliza. So are Filipino authored business management and accounting
Management.
found in the Filipiniana section?
Yes po, meron tayong mga ganyang subject na mga libro. Punta lang po tayo sa Tuklas para mag-search. And then pwede natin siyang isort by subject para mas mabilis natin siyang makita. And then pwede din sa advanced search na iselect lang natin na Filipiniana book section para mas specific. Thank you.
All right. So for the
Maybe,
most part,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Sige. Singit ko lang because we're already behind schedule. So maybe we
Alright.
can answer 2 more questions so we can proceed to the next
All right,
session.
understood.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I have just accessed Press Reader. It says I only have 29 days left. Does this mean it has a 30-day limit and it will no longer be available afterwards?
Ayun. Ito, sagutin ko lang din ng mabilis. Maybe okay lang mag-share ako ng
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
For Press Reader, wait lang po. Ito po siya. Okay, ito siya. Di ba may teacup dito na icon. Kung hindi pa po yan nakiklik, or parang kung white pa yung color, pakiclick po yan para ma-activate niyo po yung, para mawala yung access limitation notice ng Press Reader. Okay, that's all you have to do. And there isn't supposed to be a limitation because this is a 1-year subscription and you have unlimited access to over 7,000 newspapers and magazines in Press Reader. That's all.
All right. So I guess we could have one last question from Slido. So this was already answered. Oops, sorry for that. So I guess we could ask this one for Michelle. Paano po sila nagdi-dispose ng temporary records?
Sinusunod po natin yung disposition process or steps ng National Archives of the Philippines. So makikita po natin sa National Archives channel circulars po on how to dispose. At nandun nga rin po nakalagay po yung retention schedule. Hindi po natin pwedeng mas maaga sa retention period yung pagde-dispose ng ating mga records.
All right. So thank you for shedding light on that particular topic, Michelle, about disposing records. No? Okay, so having said that, we're actually short of time. We can see here that we have still a lot of questions, but you can send them to us in our email libraryinfo.updiliman@up.edu.ph. And then if it's particularly towards a specific section, library section or unit library, you can find their contact details at the main library website, or once again, you can send them to us and we'll forward it to them. So thank you everyone for voicing out some of your concerns and issues regarding these several library services and functions. So we highly appreciate that you're being proactive about it. So hopefully we have addressed some of them.